Welcome to What's the Point, a alumni conversation brought to you by the Office of Alumni Engagement and Giving. My name is Megan Corder. I'm an alumni engagement officer. Today I have a wonderful alumni guest with me, and I'm going to ask her to introduce herself. So please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name's Mary Beth Cartier. I am a Point Park alum. I graduated in 2016.
Could you tell us what you studied when you were at Point Park?
Sure. I studied sports, arts, and entertainment management.
When I originally pitched this idea to you, we had talked about it being a little bit of like a coffee or morning beverage style chat. So I've got a cup of tea here if you've got something. What are you having today?
Yeah, I am just having coffee with some flavored creamer. I am not a fan of black coffee. It's too bitter for me. So I dump like half the cup of creamer in. It's like half creamer, half coffee. So yeah, how about you? Are you like a coffee or a tea person?
I'm a tea person, mostly because same thing, coffee's really hard on my stomach. So I like tea for that exact reason.
Tea at night's pretty good. It's like really relaxing, but during the day, I definitely need all the caffeine that coffee can offer.
What's your go-to coffee creamer?
My good friend and I are really into this blend from Nicholas Coffee in Market Square. I can't remember the exact blend, but it pairs really well with the Snickers creamer that you can get at your grocery store. So that's been something, but I would say like on a traditional day, I really like just an Italian sweet cream.
Yeah, I love that kind of stuff where it's like your coffee tastes like candy. It's nice for when you don't really like coffee or you want coffee, but not like the harshness of coffee.
Exactly. Like when I go to Starbucks, I get like a caramel macchiato or like a white chocolate mocha, like something that doesn't, it's like coffee, but will give me the energy. So
this is a question I've been asking folks for these video interviews. With the recent change with COVID and a lot of folks like staying in at their homes more often, do you have a new hobby that you've picked up lately that you just started, or a hobby that you had been doing but you recommitted or like have more time to that you've been dedicating to it lately?
Yeah. So I'm not a big hobby person. I don't really have anything like I collect or work on the side outside of work. We've been playing like Phase 10 and we broke out some old board games like Sorry and Clue. So that's been really fun. Like revisit childhood a little bit and play some of those.
For my birthday, I got Golden Girls Monopoly.
Oh my gosh.
I have enjoyed immensely.
Yeah. So that's funny.
I probably enjoy playing it and telling everybody what each reference in the game is more than I enjoy like playing the actual game.
Right.
That's awesome. So that's such a good way to pass the time is playing board games and really like being able to have that. It's like when you're a little kid again.
Right. And it's just nice to, actually enjoy time with the people that you're quarantined with, instead of just watching something and kind of ignoring each other or just being on your device all the time.
Could you tell us a little bit about what your current work is and what you're up to?
Sure. So currently I work for UPMC Health Plan. I'm project manager in the project management office there. And I have been in that department for about a year and a half now. My good friend from college, when I was at Penn State in Erie before I went to Point Park, she was moving to Pittsburgh. She got a job in the project management office at UPMC. And we were going to be rooming together. And after like 6 months of her being here, just us talking about our jobs and like complaining about day to day, she was like, wow, it really sounds like what you do when I was working in the arts was a lot like project management. And, we're hiring. Do you want to just come see what it's all about at UPMC? So I just went for an interview and I really liked it. And I just loved the opportunity there. And it's just such a massive company. There's so much room to grow. It's really fast paced and there's something new to learn every day. So I really liked the opportunity that they were offering. So that's kind of how I got, transitioned from the arts to this health insurance industry.
Well, and it sounds like there would be a lot of parallels of learning to be able to manage, multiple components in one industry and transferring that to another.
Right. Yeah. And I think that goes along with, this whole discussion of soft skills of there were a lot of things that I was able to identify that could transfer from one job to another.
I understand you work with soft skills in your company, and also you've presented to some Point Park students about this topic. Could you share with us a little bit about what you define soft skills as and how they apply to your work?
So I feel like soft skills are just generally referred to as those transferable skills that pretty much every employer is looking for. They're people skills, they are social skills, character skills, professional skills. So they're just a lot of different things. I think it's kind of interpreted by each person, but they're things that every employer is looking for. So, how well you can communicate, how well you're able to lead in a group, how you manage your work, how you stay organized, how you critically think in problem solve in different situations. And, I just noticed when I was transferring careers, like we were just talking about, my background was in the arts and I really didn't know much about the products at UPMC or, the different lines of business and the different departments and how the whole industry works. So I really could just speak to my own personal work. And it clearly sold them on the job, it sold me. Because there were other people who had more of that experience, but they really liked what I was able to demonstrate in how I do my work. Because that's really something that's hard to teach. I think you can personally work on it and you can personally put yourself in situations or work with a mentor to develop them. But it's really hard to teach and it takes a lot of time to develop them. You're going to work at it and fail and grow a lot. And to be able to prove that you do care about them and you work on them and have proven success within those different areas, that's really valuable to somebody who's looking to hire you. And that that all they really have to do to onboard you is just give you some background information about the business. So I think it was just really valuable.
Yeah. And I think you bring up such a good point of understanding that your skills are transferable and that your experiences are applicable, even if, like you said, you're not familiar with the industry, but you understand the basis of how to do the work.
Right.
And I think that's also such a good point of when you don't, I remember somebody sharing job search advice that was learn to give examples. And yes. I always was really? But you bring up if you don't paint the picture for them, they don't see it.
Right. They don't know you, they've never met you. And that interview is the opportunity for them to get to know you and not just about your work, but who you are as a person. They want to know that you're going to be a good fit for their team, that you're, if their team's outgoing and likes to do a lot of stuff together and be together in person, they want to know that you're going to fit in. So that also fits into how you communicate and how you work with other people in your team. Those are soft skills that they're looking for to make sure that you're going to be compatible with the company and everyone there, not just can you do your day-to-day responsibilities.
We originally had connected because I understand you were very involved with CAB as a student at Point Park. So could you tell me a little bit about your Point Park experience and what you were involved in and give us an overview of all of that?
Sure. So I think I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but I transferred to Point Park when I was starting my junior year of college. I transferred specifically for the arts management degree. They had one at Penn State. I was up at the Erie campus, but it was really new. So it was a little underdeveloped. And I was really looking for what Point Park's program was offering. It's a little hard to meet people when you transfer as a junior and you're living off campus. So, when I was at Penn State, I was on their activities board and I just thought, that would be a really great way to get involved, to get to meet people. So I was just on the general board my junior year of CAB and then applied for just any role on the board for my senior year and ended up getting the vice president of programming. And
awesome.
I was in that role. Yeah. I was in that role for my entire senior year. And that role, I don't know if the structure is still the same, but at the time that role worked with 4 other programmers that were in charge of like different groupings of events. So there was like traditional events that they did every year. There was like Experience Pittsburgh and, oh gosh, I can't remember the other ones. It's been a couple of years. But so I would work, with them on their event ideas and, managing the events and coordinating, the people and the vendors and their schedule and their budgets and all that kind of stuff, and just kind of offer advice. So yeah, that's what I did on CAB. And Brad Kowalczyk, the director over that program, always has the alum from the CAB board come back every year during training to talk to the students. So that's really how I've maintained that relationship and stayed involved as an alum.
And I love that Brad does that, because I think you all know so much what the other students that are like in those roles are going through. Like, because you've been there.
Right. We've been in their shoes. We felt the pressure. We've felt the sense of responsibility that the university as a whole, I think, gives to those students. They really value those students and they really entrust a lot in them. It's a really great program. So yeah, it's great to just go back and talk to the students and, offer any advice we can and just put their minds at ease and give them some support.
So while you were, I know you talked a little bit about how you took a lot of your experiences from the arts and made them really relevant to healthcare, but what experiences and skills did you gain as a student who was involved in CAB, and how has that applied to your work and career?
Yeah, I would say responsibility was a big one. When you're a part of campus activities board at Point Park, you're responsible for a big chunk of budget. Responsible for the facilities, the university campus. You're responsible for the students that show up there. Not solely us, but, not solely the board, but, you're responsible for a lot of things that the university, I think, really gives you kind of like a real world, experience there to kind of get your feet dirty in having that level of responsibility. And then you can kind of take that to your first, full-time job interview and have proven examples of, I was able to say, I worked with this team, I oversaw their work, I helped keep within this budget that we were allotted. None of our events went super south and had horrible things happen. We managed safety, we managed risk. So I think you can think of it in that context, but I think the overarching soft skill that you learn through all of those experiences is just responsibility. You're responsible for when things don't go well. You're responsible for when they do. And so just knowing that you're taking ownership for your work and your name is on that, is, that's just how life is when you get a real job. When you turn your work in at your job, it's your work and you have to be responsible for how it looks, how it's presented, its content. And I think, being a part of CAB was a really good place to learn that.
Yeah. And that's such a good point, because you really are managing, like you're managing a team, you're managing a budget, and you're problem solving in the moment. Like when you have an event and it's like, nope, we have to solve this now. We can't talk about that. Like we have to make a decision now.
Right. I can't remember what event it was, but there was something that we were renting like a snow cone machine for. And
oh man,
it didn't fit. It didn't fit in one of the elevators to get into, I believe, Lawrence Hall. And so we had to make them in the lobby and hand carry them upstairs during the event. We were shipping, I think it was snow cones or ice cream or something. We were shipping them upstairs to get them. So it was in the moment, okay, we already paid for this vendor. He's here. People, we marketed this product, we have to everybody, which is like a silly example, but it's still something that for some reason that one stands out in my mind. I still remember that.
Yeah. Well, and I think I had shared when we connected earlier, I used to be an advisor to student organizations. Yeah. So I understand that struggle. It's like, sometimes you're just like, we're just going to roll with it. It's fine. It'll be fine. They won't remember that we had to carry them up in the elevator. It's fine.
Right.
You just have to adapt.
College kids aren't going to remember how they got the food. They're just going to remember that they got free food. So
yeah. There was this mantra that one of the other advisors used, and it was improvise, adapt, overcome. And I liked that because it was like exactly what you had to do.
That's great. I love that.
Yeah. But so what would you say if you have something that comes to mind, like if you had a favorite experience, either with CAB or just like as a whole with Point Park, that something that's like jumps out to you?
I think the thing, favorite experience or just something that I was most impressed by at Point Park was the fact, like how much Point Park encourages their students to get real world experiences. Like they just want to stretch students beyond the classroom so much. I did like 2 internships and a job shadowing when I was at Point Park, and
That's crazy.
Would have only done like maybe 1 internship, like maybe 1, because a lot of my friends at other universities didn't even do any, like when they were in school. And I just never really understood the importance until I was at Point Park and everybody was doing them. I mean, everybody does like 80 things at once at Point Park, and they're taking a bunch of credits and they're just so involved, and it's amazing. And I think it's just like a campus culture there. And it's such a resume builder, and you're just so prepared for when you graduate. And that was something that I really enjoyed getting from my time there.
That is such a good point. I'm so impressed constantly by alumni that share what they were involved in and current students that folks just like, I don't know how they do it. It's so amazing that they could do like 4 internships or like 2 internships and this and a job. Like, it's just, I'm just constantly so impressed. What would you say, like, what inspired your initial interest in soft skills, and how do you feel like you've kind of continued to develop them, or do you feel like they've just kind of developed naturally?
Soft skills are something that you're always developing. I feel like it would be silly to be like, I'm done. Like I've
learned them all.
I've done enough. I'm pretty good at communicating. I answer emails and I speak clearly. I'm good. You can always learn something from somebody who's older than you, from somebody who's younger than you, from your neighbor, from your coworker. Everybody has different experiences around you. And so just trying to really make them, something you just think about, day to day in your life, and just always continue to work on them.
As you know, Point Park is very focused on helping students and alumni feel career ready. So in what ways do you think your experience at Point Park, whether that was with your coursework or as a student leader, helped you feel prepared to be career ready?
Sure. So I know we spoke to like the plethora of internships that the Point Park, not necessarily requires, but they encourage their students to have a lot of those experiences. So that would probably be number 1. The second thing, there's a resume class. I don't know if they still offer that. When I was there, we had to take a class where we built like a website for ourselves that promoted a lot of. Yeah. So we would upload like different presentations we worked on in class. Any internship, like we would be asked to put like a presentation together on, the work we did during our internship and kind of the outcomes and things we learned. And that stuff would kind of go on your site. And what are you about? What's your passion? What are your career goals? What's, your objective, all those kind of things in your resume would be out there. And I thought that was really valuable, and it really sets you apart from other candidates, as you enter that next stage in your career, because a lot of students don't take the time to work on that, and let alone the students to personally take the time, but for the university to personally take the time to teach students how to do that, I thought was really special. And I know at least in the SAEM program, there was a class my senior year that was focused on like just general life skills. I can't remember what the course was called or if they still offer it, but it was like, what's a credit score? How do you make a credit score better?
That is so valuable because you wouldn't know.
Right. And it was like, the professor was like, if you pay an extra mortgage payment each year, like this is how much your mortgage payment can go down. And it was like, here's the types of savings accounts you can get. Like, I think somebody from PNC Bank came in and talked to us, and it was like, why you should have renter's insurance when you have an apartment, and like how cheap it is, and just literally outside of career and school skills. Because I know personally, like I never got that. Like I never learned from my parents, here's how you should build a budget and here's what you need to budget for and that kind of stuff. Like my family just never shared that, I guess. And I don't know if like I should have asked or what, but
you don't know what you don't know.
Right. It's like, you don't know what you don't know. And I was like rigorously taking notes, in that class. And I just felt like it really helped me set up for my life, not just my career. And so I really hope that they still do offer that class. But yeah, I loved that one. I literally talk about it, every chance I can get when we're in different conversations about like credit scores and stuff. Fiance and I are building a house, and like, I'm like, oh yeah, we talked about this and that in that course. Like I'll still bring up times from that, it was really valuable.
That's amazing. And I think that speaks to stuff like, we were just talking, it's funny you mentioned that. Some of the other conversations we're hoping to have as part of this video series is like with the career office to talk about like resumes and stuff, but also like somebody who maybe could talk about like, how they've learned to budget, like when they work kind of like gig to gig and stuff like that, where it's like, sometimes like somebody who's gone through it and can speak to it is so valuable of a resource to share, like a class, essentially. Like, it's like somebody could be like, this is what I did. You may not want to do this, or you may want to do this. So sometimes in life, things don't go as planned, but the unplanned part seems to work out for the best. So could you talk about an experience where something didn't go as planned, but worked out?
That's one of the things that at Point Park, we, that's part of our competency model is how adaptable are you? Like I said earlier, our environment at the health plan is so fast paced. Things are constantly changing. The organizational structure is changing. Your work is changing from day to day. And, especially as like a project manager, you have to be able to adapt to your schedule changing and your resources changing. So your ability for how you react in change is how you're able to adapt. And, you just have to be open to it. You have to be open to it. You have to know what to do in different situations. And so that's a really great word to describe, when you don't, specifically for transferring schools, like I didn't know what was coming. But I knew that was like the first step into something that would be more so down the path that I wanted to be. And I knew I had to be open to a new environment, a new school, new people. And so I just had to be adaptable. And that was like a big experience for me. And now I kind of experience it on much smaller scales in my day-to-day career. But yeah, that's a really great way to describe it.
Well, thank you so much. This was great.